What's going on, guys? David with Miracle Canine Training. We're out here with our training series again, this time showing you guys a new dog. So Murphy is headed home in just a couple of days now. We're gonna have some really awesome before and after footage of him. Did so fantastic with us, really excited for that process. So we'd like to introduce you guys to our next dog that we're gonna be documenting some of the training process with. This guy's gonna be a little bit different. So we have Oso here. Oso is a young pitty, corso, massive, some sort of mix of the bully breeds, obviously. He is here from Real Rottweiler Rescue. He is one of their longest standing foster dogs that they've had in their rescue now. And they're looking to just get him a little bit of help, kind of get an assessment overall of him and see if we can get some better training on him to get him under control. He could be really reactive of new people, not in an aggressive fashion per se, but just very timid, very standoffish. And we want to see what's going on with him, and we want to see if overall we can get some training on him that's going to help him become a little bit more adoptable. He's not quite as motivated as Murphy was, and he's a little bit more sensitive, so it should be an interesting difference. On the flip side, he is very good with the other dogs so far. We haven't noticed any problems with that. Socially, that's going to give him an opportunity to continue opening up with us. But what we want to do is just kind of document some of the early stages with him. Like you guys saw in the Murphy video, a lot of times what we try to do with the dogs initially is we try to teach some basic leash communication skills with the dog. And we try to use as much food as possible to motivate the dog. Because he has not as great a food drive as we'd like initially, to counteract some of the stress involved in the training process, what we need to do first and foremost, we need to get him understanding this leash better so we can start to communicate with him in a clear way. He gets distracted very easily and tends to put the brakes on and pancake up a little bit with the leash. So we're gonna be working him through that kind of stuff here. So what I wanna do now is we're gonna go over introducing the leash. We're gonna go over trying to just do some basic walking stuff with him and see where he's at with stuff. So we're gonna get started. All right, so first steps with Oso is introducing the prong collar. Now this is a tool that he's used before. He's had on multiple times, so it's not a huge concern as far as, it's something he's never been on before or anything. But what we are trying to do is we're trying to reteach it and get him understanding it in a really clear way. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna start walking just kind of aimlessly around the parking lot and getting him feeling this pressure and starting to understand moving in my direction relieves it. So as I'm walking, if he gets distracted in this direction, I wanna go this way. The second he moves towards me, I'm actively relieving the tension on that leash. And I'm just gonna do that a few times until he starts to give me a little bit of focus here. So walking, again, moving in the opposite direction of wherever he's going. Obviously people that way, very distracting to him. Dogs, obviously, mailman over here, a lot of stuff going on. So I'm just seeing how he responds to a lot of this stuff here initially. Now, just this moment, I'm not super worried about, a super strict heel or anything like that. I just want to get him moving with me a little bit. Again, getting him feeling that leash and that pressure coming off only when he's moving in my direction. There we go. Now, as he does well with moving the leash, I'm going to be shortening it up little by little here. And starting to shape a little bit more of a general heel position. Again, very skittish, just the door sliding from the mailman there and getting very jumpy from that. So these are all the little things. We're gonna start to get him focused on us and much less concerned about all of those other things. Now, I talk a lot about the prong and our general use of the prong and how we kind of view it more as an intermediate tool than we do like a tool that we're finishing dogs on. And the reason for that is because, some dogs just aren't as fazed by it as others, right? He's obviously moving with it and understanding it here, but, come on, bud. He's a little bit more calloused up to it and a little bit more willing to dig into and fight that pressure than certain other dogs that we work with would. So because of that, I'm not looking for this to look perfect. I'm looking for him to start to give me some attention as we're moving. But in addition to that, I'm just looking to be able to physically shape some of this stuff. So can I start to physically get him into that heel position, right? Can I get him moving and turning with me when he feels that pressure and then get him to kind of heed to it and slow down when I want him to like that? And then if I can, then what I could do is I could start to add other forms of motivation in, whether it's food as we start to build his drive more, or the remote collar, which is much more novel of a sensation to the dogs that we work with. And we can start to finish off some of these behaviors and get them more reliant on those verbal commands and stuff. But But in addition to that, as we're working here and kind of shaping that heel position more and more, what we should find is the dog gets softer and softer on the leash as they understand what it is that we want them to do. So again, just starting to shape that heel position. I'm shortening that leash up even more, trying to keep his nose up off of the ground, trying to keep his attention off of other things. Come on. Very good. And again, tons of distractions. Got a person up here. Come on. Got obviously our mailman over here. And I just want to keep that attention on me. Very good. Very good. Now, obviously, as he starts doing better with this, we start to add some of our other positions into the mix. In this case, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start adding some sits. So what I wanna do is I wanna work on, come on, coming to a stop, applying leash pressure up, and then when he puts his butt down on the ground, relieving that tension just like that, starting to get him understanding, okay, pressure in different directions means to do different things. You've seen a ton of videos on us introducing this process. Same deal, coming to a stop, steady pressure up. You see he starts to get mouthy a little bit with that, kind of biting at the leash, pawing at the leash, all of those types of things. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna try to work him through that a little bit. And this is a lot of the protest and stuff that they're used to kind of seeing out of him here. So we'll go ahead and try that again. And all I wanna do is just show him it's not working, right? So again, a little leash pressure up, waiting for that butt to come down and then relieving that. Okay. A lot of dogs like this, unfortunately, keep themselves in this state of mind of just essentially, hitting a point where they're done with things and learning that certain behaviors they could do, like nipping or biting at the leash or throwing a little tantrum or anything like that, work, as opposed to good, compliantly working through things like that. Okay, and that doesn't mean we're gonna get really firm on the dog or get really heavy-handed with them or anything. I'm just gonna stay consistent in holding them to the criteria of what it is that I expect. In this case, getting into that sit position. Okay. You can see very tense and resistant on it. I'm just trying to smoothly work them through that. Waiting for that sit, then relieving that tension. Okay. Same deal. Much better. Okay. Same deal. Much better. Okay. 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 Good. And I'm just looking for each time I do it to get a little bit smoother and a little bit smoother like that. Okay. So again, just continuing to shape the heel position, shape all these general positions. Our goal with the leash here before we go to start add the remote collar into the mix is to have him have a clear understanding of physically all of the positions we're gonna want him to get into. I want him to start to comfortably get into this heel position. I want him to start comfortably getting into those sits when I need him to. Very good, okay. And then we're gonna be doing downs and beds as well with him. What's up, guys? Dave with Miracle Canine Training. So this is 2 days later now. We have Oso with us. He is getting dramatically more smooth on the leash here. He's developing really, really fantastic food drive with us, partially because he's just getting more comfortable, and then partially because we're teaching him to work for his meals right now. So every single meal that he is getting right now, he is learning how to work for that in his training sessions, right? So he accesses it through different things with us. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run him through some of the basic leash handling skills that we're doing with him, work on some sits, work on some beds, and just kind of see how he does with that. So we're gonna go ahead and get started here. Come on, bud. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move him with me here. I'm gonna leash pressure straight into that sit. Good. When he gets into it, marking with good. As you saw from the clip before, okay. He was much more resistant on that prong, really digging into it every time that I would ask him to sit. We're now good. He's getting smoother. He's replying and responding to that leash pressure, okay, with less and less help here. So that's the goal here. Good. It's just making sure that leash in itself, without any sort of verbal help, okay, is having its own language essentially, right? I want him understanding pressure in all directions. Good means to do different things. Okay. Good. From there, we can utilize that leash pressure, okay, to teach both our remote collar stuff, to teach our bed stuff, and just get him moving in the right direction. Good. Now, one of our big goals here before we go to add any sort of, any sort of e-collar help into the mix here is making sure the dog both has good motivation with us with the rewards, good, as well as a good understanding of the leash so we can have a seamless process. You guys saw that in the videos we made, okay, with Murphy. You guys have seen that in the videos that we've done in the past, and that's not gonna be any different with Oso here. So again, making sure that we can get him into sits, making sure that I can get him up onto the bed, as well as into sits. Good. And just making sure everything is gonna be as smooth as we need it to be. Okay. Get him over here, guiding him up onto the bed, guiding him into the sit. Good. And then marking and rewarding with that food. Okay. Good. Okay. Now the way that we're utilizing our food and utilizing our good marker here, the dog does need to maintain position. So once I get him in and into that sit, good. That good marker tells him the thing you're doing right now is what I want you to do. A reward will be coming, but you still need to hold that position, okay, until you hear that okay release marker here. Good. Okay. Good. Okay. Now this is day 3 with us again. Good. But we've really only done interior obedience like this for a couple of sessions so far. Okay, a lot of our initial stages are just the basic leash stuff, building motivation, working outdoors like we were. So now you can see we're starting to shape these commands. These are things, good, that he's only done very briefly, and we're trying to teach him a good understanding of these physical positions we're ultimately gonna want. Okay. Until he starts just offering them essentially like that through repetition. Then I could give, good, additional help as I need to with the leash to finish those off. Okay. Same deal, if we want to sit, good. We could do that. Okay, if we want the bed, obviously we could do that with the leash. Good. Okay. If we want recalls, we could teach him move towards us. Good, and into that sit position. Same deal, marking and rewarding for completion. Okay, just to continue reinforcing what he's doing being the good thing. Recalling into us. Good. So continuing to make sure that we can get him to us. Good, we can get him into sits. Okay. Making sure we can get them onto beds. Good. Okay. And basically making sure he could understand the leash in any way that we need him to understand it. In this case, good. Getting into positions, working for rewards, so we can start shaping all the obedience we're ultimately gonna want out of him. Okay. The last thing that we would be doing with him would be downs as well. Good, which are a little bit more challenging and something we tend to wait a little bit longer before we start with the dog. Okay, but it would be the same concept, teaching it with the leash pressure. Good, so we want to see his motivation continue to come up here over the next couple of days. Okay, making sure he has a good physical understanding of all of these positions over the course of the next couple of days. And ultimately getting his training up to par. Good job, buddy. Where we need it to be so that we could start to get all this stuff wrapped up with him. So just a brief introduction into Oso here. Like I said, he may be a little bit of a tough cookie for us, but obviously he's turning around really quickly. He's starting to develop good motivation. I think he's gonna be right on track, just like all our other dogs. So stay tuned for updates on him. We'll see you guys then.